following is a paid advertisement program provided by Premier Investments and Wealth Management. An airing of the program is not to be considered an endorsement or recommendation. The opinions expressed are those of the hosts, guests and callers and not necessarily of KFXR or iHeartMedia. Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC. The opinions voiced in this show are for general information purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, and financial or tax advisor prior to investing. Premier Investments and Wealth Management and LPL Financial do not provide legal advice. Please consult your legal and economic forecasts set forth may not develop as predicted, and there can be no guarantee that strategies promoted will be successful. There's no guarantee that a diversified portfolio will enhance overall returns or outperform a non-diversified portfolio. Diversification does not protect against market risk. All performance referenced is historical and is not a guarantee of future results. All indices are unmanaged and cannot be invested into directly. There is no assurance that the techniques and strategies discussed are suitable for all investors or will yield positive outcomes. The purchase of certain securities may be required to affect some of the strategies. Investing involves risks, including possible loss of principal.
The views and opinions of this show are those of Premier Investments and Wealth Management. Their guests alone and do not reflect any other entities. The information in the following program should not be construed as an offer to sell and is not intended to replace the advice of a qualified tax advisor or legal counsel. Statements in this program do not reflect those of Premier Investments and Wealth Management, LPL Financial, or their affiliates. Hey there, welcome to the Premier Investments and Wealth Management Financial Program. My name is Doug Wagner. I'm here along with Roger Abel, whom I will introduce in just a matter of moments. But before I do anything else, I need to tell you about PremierIWM.com. What you're going to do when you go there is you click on Get Started, and after that, you fill out a little bit of information. You get a one-page Premier Vision document, a one-page My Financial Confidence Score. I'm going to bet that you don't know if you're ready for retirement. Okay, 60% of you or so don't know if you're ready for retirement. How about if you're ready to pay for your kids' college education when it comes time for that? Or maybe even that dream home up in the hills, maybe a hunting cottage up in West Texas or down by the ocean. We never know. You can find out if you're ready for it. Go to PremierIWM.com. Click Get Started and answer the questions. You'll get some answers to additional questions. Right now, introducing the man who's owner and wealth advisor at Premier Investments and Wealth Management with over 21 years of experience in the financial services industry. Ladies and gentlemen, from the miracle of video, the big kahuna, Roger Abel.
You bought it. You really brought it this time, Mr. Buffer. You brought it this time. I'm going to give it to you. We're ratcheting up the steam in here.
I even had the head shake. If I had jowls anymore, they would have been shaking all over the place. It's not a good thing.
Here's the problem. The people listening, it's like smell-o-vision. They can't smell it.
Yeah, okay.
So the people listening are going to have to tune in and go to the YouTube channel, which is Premier Investments and Wealth Management.
Yeah.
Then you get to see what we look like. Everybody will be able to see that we have a face for TV and a voice for radio.
Yeah.
We're both fortunate that way. But
and you know what? The whole thing is that the next time, because you mentioned it, the smell, maybe I'll have to do a rock intro for you next time.
We used to do a lot of food-related stuff. Do you remember the time, probably like 8 years ago, you called me on Thanksgiving morning?
Oh, yes.
And I was doing the Thanksgiving pizza, and you interviewed me on the air.
Yeah.
I remember that, actually.
No, that was fun because you were doing something unusual for Thanksgiving.
It was delicious.
No, I bet it was. I mean, anything you make. You're a gourmand as well as a whiskey aficionado. But we could do the rock intro if you want to. Do you want to do the rock intro next week?
What's the rock
It doesn't
intro?
matter if you want to do the rock intro next. That's
okay.
rock. Remember?
Okay. Hulk Hogan apparently is popular again.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
So you're going to, Elias and I just got
here.
back from Lake of the Ozarks here like a week and a half ago.
Yeah.
Literally 3 days after we left, Hulk Hogan went to one of our favorite places, Frankie and Louis.
Seriously?
Yeah, he showed up to Frankie and Louis. I think he's promoting American beers. Is that what it's called? Real American beer?
Probably.
Some promo, but I think he hit a home run at the Republican National Committee.
Oh, are you kidding me? He ripped the shirt off.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he did that. It was a really unusual kind of time there at that Republican National Convention. I'm curious to see what the Democrats come up with, but I know we did wall-to-wall coverage and people loved it. Talk Radio 1190, 1190talkradio.com. This is where you find the Premier Investments and Wealth Management Financial Program. We're way off course already, and we've only got like 24 minutes left.
That's okay. We like to have fun on this show. That's what it's about.
I know, and people, because it's more than just investing. Because if you did that, you could have like a 4-minute show. It's not about stock picking because nobody really, people don't really care what you want to pick for a stock. But number two, compliance says you can't do that.
Doug, I think the common comment we get is you guys keep it relatively simple.
Yeah, and fun.
Our joke is we try not to have too many big words on the show.
Yeah. Well, we're on the streets, got some awesome financial plans.
Yeah, that's what Jonas says. So I appreciate his candor as well.
Yeah. Hey, let's talk about a report that's come out here recently that talks about 8 planning gaps that individuals have in their retirement because really there's an overall level of optimism when it comes to retirement and the readiness. It's improved quickly over the last 12 months. I think you saw everything skid after when it hit COVID because people just didn't know what was going on, and then slowly pick up. And then here recently, it's really buttressed itself. And I think if you look at that compared to where the market is, you'll see a little bit of a mimicking here, at least the last 12 months. Talk to me a little bit about this Red on Retirement report. They feel like there's a little bit more on track. What are some of the numbers behind it, Roger?
Well, I think what I enjoy about these reports is I like to kind of try to get inside the numbers and figure out why people are reacting certain ways. Mm-hmm. But here's my key takeaway to this report before we even get into the numbers. Yeah. I think the data from this report underscores how complicated the path is for retirement. And if you just think about how individuals retire today versus 30 years ago, it's drastically different. Mm-hmm. 30 years ago, you worked at a job for 25, 30, 40 years. You retired with a pension, a gold watch, and Social Security.
Right.
Today, most people's retirement, 2/3 of people today are 100% responsible for saving for their own retirement.
Right.
So it is making it more complicated. My grandparents, they didn't have to figure out how much to save. And they just said, well, yeah, I'm going to work here. I'm going to get $5,000 a month for the rest of my life, and we'll call her good.
Yeah.
And so the number one thing you mentioned is that workers' confidence is high. 68% of the savers actually feel good about retirement. But the key is, and this is what's different, they don't know how much to save, which is really scary. How can you feel really confident about retirement and not figure out the number? And it's not easy to figure out the number. There's all kinds of popular shows save 15%. One says save 25%. You want to know how you figure out the number? You sit down and do a financial plan and back into it. It's really simple. But you're going to have to engage with an advisor, ask for some help. But most planners out there today can give you the number you need. You don't need to go take blanket advice from other shows that say, well, it's 15% or 25. I don't know what it is. It might be 7. It might be 35. It depends on your individual situation.
Think about it this way, Roger. It's like getting into a vehicle that your husband or your wife drove last, depending on who you are, and you don't have a gas gauge in the car, and you have no way of telling how many miles you have left in it, and you've got a cross-country trip planned, or maybe a trip that goes beyond the borders of Texas into, New Mexico or to Arkansas or Louisiana or Oklahoma. Well, why would you want to go to Oklahoma if you're in Texas? Anyway, so sorry about that. But the whole point is like you're driving blind. I mean, the whole thing is that, you know what, I've got confidence that there's gas in the car because I think my sweetie would leave me gas in the car, but I don't know how much gas they left in the car.
And I don't know how much gas I need to keep putting in.
Exactly.
And that's really a thing. Like, how much gas do I need to put in to get to where I'm going? Right. That's actually a really great analogy. It reminds me of my wife's uncle. He had always bought Monte Carlos.
Yeah.
Chevrolet Monte Carlos.
Yeah.
I remember he showed up one day, brand new Monte Carlo. He had a date. He had a new date. He's a single bachelor in his 50s at this time. Shows up in a brand new Monte Carlo.
Yeah. Bee's knees.
And he drives them forever. Well, the speedometer broke on the Monte Carlo, and he just kept driving on the speedometer. And, some people are good at gauging how fast they're going or how much fuel they need to put in the tank.
Right.
He was one of them.
Yeah.
I pull out my GPS one day. I go, Jim, there's no way. You know how fast we're going? Within 1 mile an hour. He had it right. I'm like, okay, you're good. Not everybody is good at their finances to judge how fast they're going or how much gas they need to put in. But here's the second part of that. Even though people's confidence are high, 43% express long-term uncertainty on how to source and structure retirement income. This is one of the key things we see when people come in to see us, Doug. getting to where you want to go, you can kind of luck into that, right?
Right.
You just put money away for a long period of time. Things tend to work out.
Yeah.
When you need to start taking money out, that's actually when people really need to start looking at some type of a distribution strategy, and things get more complicated. You have to worry about sequence of return risk and inflation risk, and a lot of people want to be more conservative.
Tax.
All those different things. So that is really the complicated part about retirement, is building this income strategy that's going to last as long as you do.
And that's why you need a professional like my friends at Premier Investments and Wealth Management, Roger Abel and his crew at premieriwm.com, ready to take you on. And you know what's really simple? Go to premieriwm.com, click Get Started, answer a few questions, get that one-page financial, My Financial Confidence Score.
Yeah, we have the My Financial Confidence Score, which kind of assesses where you are today.
Yeah.
And then you can go to one step further and request information to get your Premier Vision document, which is, in its simplest terms, we take the full financial plan, 120-page document. And over 20 plus years of doing this, we've recognized what people are most concerned about, and we try to simplify it so you can take it home, know what you need to do to get on track, stay on track, and what your future action items are.
PremierIWM.com is the website for Premier Investments in Wealth Management. What's the phone number, Roger?
800-383-6590.
You are listening to the Premier Investments in Wealth Management program on Talk Radio 1190, 1190talkradio.com. Doug Wagner along with Roger Abel. There's a gender gap in retirement confidence, and I think a lot of maybe it's collapsing a little bit because more and more women are becoming more involved in the way that their retirement is structured. But I think for a long time you had women, there were a lot of women who ran the household. They ran the money in the household. They ran the day-to-day operations here. They would go do the groceries, so they'd have control of the cash. But the men were the ones who had control of the retirement. That's changing significantly.
Which is ironic.
Yeah.
I mean, if one person's running the household, someone else is in charge of the investments.
Yeah.
And I think, there's some highlighted numbers here. 59% of women feel like they're on track for retirement compared to 75% of men. And part of me wonders, if we look beyond that number a little bit, if the men feel more confident because they were responsible for saving this money.
Yeah.
And as men, we don't want to admit that we might have made a mistake.
Oh, no.
Right? I mean, we're not wrong until we're actually wrong.
Yeah.
That's typically what I tell people. The second statistic here that sticks out, 70% of women think it's going to be difficult to know how savings will translate into monthly income versus 56% of men. And I've had this discussion with people recently about how to think about the money they're saving. The money you're saving for retirement really isn't about getting this big pot of money so you have it. It's really designed to generate income, just like a pension would. Yeah. And if you think about your money that way, you think about it differently. And I think that's what women think about. They don't think about the $2 million in the bank. They think, how are we going to get income from this $2 million?
Right.
They're more detailed than men are a lot of times, I feel like. And, men and women both, about 60% feel like they worry they're going to outlive their money. Yeah. And here's the beauty of engaging with an advisor, whether it's here at Premier Investments or somewhere else. The whole goal of the process is to make sure people have a better sense of financial direction, more financial confidence. There's no reason in today's day and age, with all the people here to help you, that people don't know what retirement looks like, whether it's good or bad. Some people, it may not work out, but why would you want to wonder? Once you want to know what you need to do or what you can spend to be successful.
Do you ever feel like your financial goals are just out of reach? It's time to take control of your future with Premier Investments and Wealth Management, your partner in financial independence. Imagine a financial plan that's as individual as you are. At Premier Investments and Wealth Management, our team of experienced advisors will work closely with you to create a roadmap tailored to your dreams, whether it's buying a home, retiring comfortably, or starting a business. We believe in transparency and education. We'll help simplify complex financial concepts, provide clear guidance, and empower you to make informed decisions. Financial wellness is within your grasp. Visit www.premieriwm.com to schedule a meeting with an experienced advisor today.
And here's something that's sort of off topic here, but it's something we've discussed before, and I think part of the psychology of investing and the people you work with, Roger Abel, is this. You have some people who are very concerned, and the reason they're concerned is because they've not done a good job of preparing up to this point, and they feel a fool. And they don't want to be made a fool when they actually come in to do this. Talk to me about how you work with people who come in maybe in their 40s or even early 50s that have really not done as good of a job as preparing for their financial future. You got to sort of settle them down a little bit, don't you?
I hope they come in their 40s because they have time on their side.
Right.
They may not think they do, but they do.
But you still, once they get in there, maybe you have to settle them down a little bit because they're thinking, you know what? Oh, what did I do? I just blew this whole thing.
Yeah, two things are going to happen. One, they're going to realize that they're better off than they thought they were. Or two, they're going to walk out with a plan to get where they want to go. And I have a great example of this. We had an individual come into this office, 47. She's actually a friend of ours, so I had her work with Elias. I didn't. Yeah. I try not to work with friends. Right. And she was really concerned that she was behind. Mm-hmm. Went through everything, and actually she's doing relatively well compared to where she thought. So it just gave her so much more confidence. Right. Conversely, we've had people come in here that their retirement expectations are totally different than what they're on track to do. Yeah. But what we're able to do is rein those in and put them on the program to get to the point where they can have a great retirement. I had a couple come in here the other day. They're in their 40s. They have $300,000-$400,000 saved. They're doing okay. But they want to retire at 55 and live on $70,000 a year and spend $20,000 a year for vacations. And I'm taking all this intake stuff in, and I do a lot of these every year. I'm like, well, this is never going to happen. Yeah. So I had to have them back for the next meeting and say, hey, this stuff could happen, but it's 65, not at 55. Right. Right. So the question is, what's important, retiring early or having the lifestyle you want? And then they'll have a balancing act of where they fall. But either way, it's planned for, and they know they can do it or they can't. What's more dangerous, retiring at 55 and doing all this and be like, whoa. Where did my money go? Right. Or knowing it won't work, and we got to work a little longer if this is what we want to do. And the other thing, too, Roger, that I'm sure that you come up with something like that is that, maybe they say, you know what, maybe we sacrifice a little bit more here in the front end so we can bring that. So rather than saying, okay, 55 or travel, and then you say 65, well, they say, okay, how about 60, and we sacrifice a little bit more now, and you figure out how the numbers work. That's really what it comes down to. I see that all the time. But then I do see the flip side, Doug. Mm-hmm. I see the people that are sacrificing too much now, so they have all this later. Right. And we try to have a reverse conversation. If someone comes in here and we do the financial plan and they're 45 or 50 and their probability of success is 99%, that tells me it's time to have a little more fun now. Yeah, exactly. Because how they want to live and how they could live now are two different things. And you might as well enjoy it while you have your health, while you have your family, your friends, all those different things. Yeah, that's really critical. You're talking about something that is legacy building, not only for your family, because it's better to do these things when your hand is cold, when your hand is warm, rather than when your hand is cold, so to speak. Well, I mean, most of us would like to see our family and friends and kids enjoy this if we can, versus enjoy it when we're gone. And they will enjoy it when you're gone. The average inheritance is 18 months. That's it. Gone. Yeah. So spend your 18 months and give it away. It's sadly impressive. I know you're listening and watching Premier Investments in Wealth Management Financial Program on Talk Radio 1190, 1190talkradio.com. Doug Wagner along with Roger Abel. Head over to premieriwm.com. When you get over there, click on Get Started. Answer the questions. They will produce for you a one-page Premier Vision document. And what you can do is go through it. It's really a very simple document, and it makes sense. It's very intuitive. And really, you can fold it out into however many pages you want. You can get as deep in the weeds as you would like to. Become a client with Premier Investments in Wealth Management, and you can take advantage of everything that they offer. And part of that, I think, is important, too, is something we were just talking about, estate planning. And again, quick aside, I looked in the paper yesterday, 3 people I know in the obituaries. I'm getting to that age where there are 3 people that I know, and I start thinking, do they have an estate plan at that point? That's one of those things, whether you're Gen X, millennial, or especially baby boomers. I mean, you say they're grappling with the income challenge at this point. It's hard to have an estate when you have an income issue. Yeah, but everybody has an estate whether they have income or not. Okay. I think that people hear the word estate planning and they think that's for wealthy people.
Yeah.
Estate planning's for everybody. It's giving direction to where your money goes. Everybody should have some general documents. I know we're off track here a little bit, but everybody should have power of attorneys, healthcare, financial, have a will. If you don't do this, ultimately you're just going to let someone else decide where your money goes. I had a friend of mine who had a stroke here recently. Didn't have any of this stuff. Pretty hard to do anything for this individual. And he's single, no family, no kids. So his friend's taking care of everything. And his friend called me and said, what could we do? I said, you can't do lot. You're going to have to go through the courts, get a conservatorship and, help make decisions. But at the end of the day, it would have been real easy to go spend X amount of dollars to get these documents drafted and not deal with the headache. Everybody needs an estate plan. It's just whether you've done it yourself or the state's done it for you.
Gotcha. I appreciate you taking that aside because it's something no matter what you're taking a look at, because it seems like these things happen younger. Let's go back to retirement and getting ready for it. Gen X say they feel most behind, but millennials are also feeling the squeeze. And baby boomers are grappling with the income challenge. And do you want to take in that order, Roger?
Well, I'm going to take Gen Z. I have some thoughts about this. So Gen Z, they're the most confident. 77% of Gen Zers say they're on track to retire. That's age 12 to 27.
Yeah.
And Doug, do you know what the Dunning-Kruger effect is?
That is one I do not know.
We've talked about it before, but the Dunning-Kruger effect, and we'll put a chart. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see the chart.
Okay.
But it's basically a cognitive bias where in the beginning, when you learn about something, you're as confident as you ever feel.
Right.
So that's 12 to 27. As you start to learn, your confidence hits its bottom, which would be like a Gen Xer or a millennial. And then as you get older, it starts to go up and then it plateaus, but you never get back to plateau through learning, never gets as high as it was
when you first learn.
When you're first learning. Wow. So when I see that 77% of Gen Zers feel like they're on track to retire, I think this is just a cognitive bias that I know everything and I haven't learned much. So I kind of look beyond that. Millennials are feeling the squeeze, I'm sure. Millennials, this is where they're starting to really worry about it. They're waking up. They're like, okay, wait, I've had kids. I spent a bunch of money I shouldn't have spent. I bought the big house or the boat or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And now your time frame starts to feel shorter.
Yeah.
I can tell you, I've done this for going on 21 years, going on 22. I'm 45. I did this right when I came out of college. Even myself, it's like, whoa, all of a sudden it's closer. And we talked about this before. I personally don't plan on retiring, but I plan on financial independence. There's an age where I want to be financially independent, and then whether I continue to do this or not is my choice, which I love what I do. I have fun with these shows. I want it to be a choice. But most people that are millennials are feeling this squeeze of, man, I'm behind. Things are expensive. Keep up with the Joneses. All my friends are on TikTok, going on vacations or Instagram or whatever. But now I got to get serious. And the good news for them is you got some catch-up contributions coming at age 50 that, I'm actually excited about being able to make catch-up contributions. How life changes. It's like, how much can I avoid saving? And now it's like, man, how much can I put in there?
Exactly. That makes sense. PremierIWM.com is the website. Just a few minutes left in the program, but I encourage you, whether it's your phone, your laptop, your tablet, or even you're sitting at your desktop, PremierIWM.com. Head in there and click on Get Started. Check out the questions, answer them. The one-page Premier Vision document is the first goal. The next one is the My Financial Confidence Score, and the final one is to get that financial plan with Roger Abel from Premier Investments and Wealth Management. We'll give you the phone number here in a second when we get nearer to the end of the program. Baby boomers are grappling with the income challenge because the thing is that they've been pushing. They're still, maybe out about on the outside lane of getting that house paid off. You got to have a car, so they've got a car payment. There's different ways that people approach this, but the people who are doing a lot of this by credit and by loans are feeling the income challenge. There's another set of people, though, whom you've worked with that you've said, hey, let's set aside through a financial plan different pots of money.
I think when I look through all of the things in this study, there's a commonality here that people aren't confident about how they're going to get income.
Right.
And a baby boomer, you're close. Like, you're going to have to figure this out. Great statistic out of here. Retired baby boomers, 85% report that secure income makes a bigger difference than they thought it would. 94% believe employers should prioritize providing employees with secure income options through workplace plans. Secure income options are pensions or annuities.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
There could be an annuity of some kind. Ironically, guess what 401ks are designed to do? Accumulate dollars, not provide income. So we've talked about it. I think it's one of the biggest challenges everybody's going to have. Everybody can figure out how to save money. It's harder for people to figure out how to get the income turned on. And it's why we have a very specific process for showing people and educating people. This is how we get dependable, reliable income all the way through retirement, so you don't have to worry about this. You don't have to worry about the ups and downs in the market. Doesn't mean you're not in the market. Just there's a process through our bucket strategy of helping to eliminate the human emotion of the investments.
There's a couple things left, and you only have a couple of minutes, but there's a difference between savings and investment. But the other thing, too, that I think is critical is that now retirement worries are starting to affect people's mental health out there. This is becoming something very personal to a lot of people in that regard.
80% of the people say this is hurting their mental health.
Don't sleep at night.
They don't sleep at night. Well, we've said for a long time on our other show that we do, one of the things we provide for people is sleep.
Yeah.
That's actually probably one of the best assets we can provide. We want people to go to bed and feel okay about what's happening, whether it's the markets or their income or how they're going to get their money, all those things. That's why you have a planner, is to help take the worry off of your plate.
And that's important. It's really critical, because the whole idea between saving and investing is that the final point of this survey was that only independent savers have seen confidence fall. And for me, I mean, maybe it's just for me is like they're outside of the defined benefit. They're outside of the 401k plans. So there's a lot of options out there for them that they're not exercising.
Well, they could exercise it.
Right.
Honestly, to get great confidence, it has to have a plan. Do you think Bill Belichick ever went into a Super Bowl and said, I'm not very confident? No, he was super confident because they spent X amount of time game planning.
Right.
Yeah, he had a great quarterback, but he was confident around the game plan that he created. And then just like any plan, you have to adapt. Your financial plan shouldn't be this static, thing you did 10 years ago.
Right.
The old joke is, we did a financial plan 10 years ago, printed it out, gave it to you, threw it in the junk drawer, and you can check the box, I did a financial plan.
Yeah.
Plans today are dynamic. They can be ever changing, and it really should almost be like a financial decision tree. If I do this, how does it affect everything else? Because everything has a cause and effect. So I think that if people out there are not confident about retirement, you need to get some type of a financial plan done.
That's exactly what you do. And you can start that at premieriwm.com for Premier Investments and Wealth Management website. Just go there, click on Get Started, answer the questions. They'll provide the one-page My Financial Score document that helps you get an understanding. Am I ready for retirement? Am I ready for my kids to go to college or whatever your dream purchase is in the future? premieriwm.com. Roger, the phone number in case people want to make the phone call, make an appointment.
800-383-6590.
Awesome. Good to see you again. The conclusion of another fabulous show, mostly because of him, right here on News Talk 1190 and 1190newsradio.com. I'm Doug Wagner. Join us again next week.
Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC. The opinions voiced in this show are for general information purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, and financial or tax advisor prior to investing. Premier Investments and Wealth Management and LPL Financial do not provide legal advice. Please consult your legal advisor. Premier Investments and Wealth Management and LPL Financial do not provide legal advice or services. Please consult your legal advisor regarding your specific situation. Economic forecasts set forth may not develop as predicted, and there can be no guarantee that strategies promoted will be successful. There's no guarantee that a diversified portfolio will enhance overall returns or outperform a non-diversified portfolio. Diversification does not protect against market risk. All performance referenced is historical and is not a guarantee of future results. All indices are unmanaged and cannot be invested into directly. There is no assurance that the techniques and strategies discussed are suitable for all investors or will yield positive outcomes. The purchase of certain securities may be required required to affect some of the strategies. Investing involves risks, including possible loss of principal,